So you grab a diet soda, crack the tap, and take a drink. You just bypassed 150 calories of liquid sugar. It feels like definitive biological win. But unfortunately, your body does not count calories on a spreadsheet. It processes chemical signals. Now, the artificial sweeteners in that can of soda are chemically engineered to be just about 600 times sweeter than regular table sugar. Now, that extreme, unnatural sweetness sends a massive shockwave through your nervous system. Now, you may think that you are hacking your diet, but unfortunately, you cannot outsmart the millions of years of human evolution with a zero-calorie chemical trick. In reality, what you are actually doing is initiating a biological bite and switch that forces your body into a state of metabolic panic. You are drinking a beverage specifically designed for weight loss, but it physically hardwires your brain to ask for high calorie food. So instead of suppressing your appetite, the absolute lack of calories drives an uncomfortable physiological hunger. So let's slow down a bit and break it down to see how this chemical illusion works, starting at the exact millisecond that the artificial sweetened liquid touches your tongue. Now, the moment that intense artificial sweetness hits your tongue, your nervous system basically initiates a rapid involuntary reflex. Your taste buds send an immediate message to your brain, and brain then activates a major neural sort of superhighway, which is known as vagal nerve. Now, because your mouth just tasted something super sweet, your central nervous system assumes that a massive, heavy load of sugar is about to drop into your stomach. So, to prepare for this incoming sugar, the vagal nerve shoots a signal straight down to your pancreas, telling the pancreas to release the hormone insulin right away. Now, in clinical biology, this sort of anticipatory reaction is called the cephalic phase insulin release. Cephalic here means head. In other words, the simple act of tasting sweetness with your tongue immediately tells your brain to force your pancreas to pump out insulin before a single drop of liquid even reaches your stomach. Now, this early anticipatory insulin release creates immediate systemic problem. Can you guess why? Well, because under normal circumstances, insulin's job is to sort of, if you can imagine it, unlock your cells so that they can absorb sugar from your blood to burn for energy. That's normal mechanism how we lower blood sugar after eating meal. However, because you drank a diet soda, there are zero calories and zero actual sugar molecules entering your system. So now the newly released insulin is actively circulating in your blood, doing what it is designed to do, basically searching for the massive sugar payload that it was promised. Well, when no new sugar arrives from your digestive tract, the insulin does its job on whatever sugar it can find circulating in your bloodstream, and in the process clears out the normal baseline blood sugar that was already circulating in your system. So basically, body keeps the baseline blood sugar level in your blood very tightly regulated because too much of blood sugar in your bloodstream can cause damage, and too little of blood sugar is equally dangerous. So now this massive amount of insulin in the blood without the massive amount of sugar that was supposed to be there causes your overall blood glucose level to drop very rapidly. Now, deep inside your brain is a critical control center called hypothalamus, which constantly monitors your blood sugar and energy balance. When the hypothalamus detects this unnatural sudden drop in blood glucose, it will sound a biological alarm. Basically, the hypothalamus assumes that your body is running critically low on fuel, which it actually is because insulin clears out your blood sugar that was supposed to be there. So, to prevent you from starving, the hypothalamus triggers intense, undeniable sensation of hunger, physically forcing you to look for food to reestablish those crushing blood sugar levels. So the result of this is that you end up consuming extra calories that you would normally not consume if you did not have the diet soda, because the blood sugar that was in your circulating in your system normally would probably stay there a lot longer without the extra insulin. But the deception in your mouth that we just talked about is unfortunately only half of the story. As the diet soda travels down into your small intestine, it encounters sort of advanced biological security systems, if you wish. By that I mean the lining of your gut, which is packed with highly specialized sensory cells called neuropathy cells. Now, these cells act as microscopic chemical laboratories, if you can imagine. They have direct physical synaptic connections right back to the same vagal nerve that we just discussed. These neuropathy cells do not just blindly detect sweetness. They have very specific chemical transporters that act like molecular scanners. They can physically identify the exact structural difference between real caloric sugar and the non-caloric artificial sweetener. So let's talk about the neurological reward mismatch that follows this chaos created by the artificial sweeteners. Now, when you consume something that has real sugar in it, it enters those neuropathy cells, which instantly fire off neurotransmitter called glutamate to travel up through the vagal nerve. Now, this lightning fast signal hits your brain reward center and triggers release of dopamine. Dopamine provides a deep sense of satisfaction and satiety. It is your brain chemical way of acknowledging that actual energy has successfully arrived in your body, right? Now, when you drink something with artificial sweetener, the neuropathy cells scan it, right? And they immediately detect that it is a biological fake, pretty much, because there are no actual calories. So the neuropathy cells release entirely different, slower chemical signal. Now the vagal nerve still communicates with the brain, but it does not give the brain that satisfaction from the dopamine release. Now, our entire central nervous system is basically left in a state of sort of confusion and sort of deficit, if you can imagine, because we are prompt for the calories, but there are none. Your tongue, right, tasted the intense sweetness, and your pancreas prepared your body for heavy calories, but the neuropathy cells in your gut definitely reported back to your brain that no fuel actually arrived. Because your brain's reward center never received the dopamine satisfaction that it basically initially anticipated, it sends your sugar cravings into a major overdrive, leaving you far hungrier than you would feel if you simply drank plain water. Now, there is one more long term consequence of drinking diet soda, or any diet drinks, and it happens deep in your lower digestive tract. Now, when you eat real sugar, most of it is absorbed early in your small intestine, but some artificial sweeteners used in diet drinks don't behave like normal food. Sucralose, for example, is poorly absorbed and is not meaningfully broken down by the body. So large amount can continue through the digestive tract pretty much unchanged. Saccharin is also not metabolized like sugar, although more of it is absorbed and later excreted in the urine. So, not every artificial sweetener reaches the colon in the same amount, but the key point is this, that basically these chemicals can interact with your gut bacteria instead of being used as a real fuel. Now, Your large intestine is also home to your gut microbiome, which is a massive, delicate ecosystem of trillions of bacteria that heavily regulates your metabolism. Now, when these synthetic, highly concentrated sweet compounds interact with your microbiome, they can act almost like a localized biological herbicide. They can disrupt the fine balance of bacteria inside your gut, a process that's called dysbiosis. In some studies, this includes a drop in beneficial bacteria and rise in bacterial pattern linked with worse glucose control, inflammation, and metabolic dysfunction. Now, this is not just a minor digestive upset. This bacterial shift can have a real metabolic consequence. In human research, sucralose and saccharin changed the gut microbiome in some people and made their glucose tolerance worse. That means that when those people later ate real carbohydrates, their body became worse at clearing the sugar from the blood. In plain language, the altered gut bacteria can send inflammatory signals and other chemical messages that interfere with how your cells respond to insulin. Now, your muscle cells, liver cells, and fat cells may stop responding to insulin as cleanly as they normally should. So, after a normal meal with, for example, rice, potatoes, bread, fruit, or any real carbohydrate, your blood sugar can rise higher and stay elevated longer. And this is where the fat storage becomes important. Insulin is not just a blood sugar hormone, as lots of people think. Insulin is also one of the body's strongest fat storage signals. When insulin goes up, it tells fat cells to pull the fuel out of your blood, build triglycerides, which is the storage form of fat in our body, and store that energy as body fat. At the same time, insulin tells fat cells to slow down fat burning. So, if diet soda makes your body worse at handling the next real meal, your pancreas may need to release more insulin and your body may spend more time in that fat storage mode. That means that the diet soda did not add fat to you directly. It did not contain sugar. It did not contain calories. But it may simply set up the wrong metabolic environment. It can shift the microbiome in your guts, worsen the glucose tolerance, and increase insulin demand, and make your body more likely to store the calories that you eat later. So, this is why the 0 calorie label can really be misleading. The drink may be 0 calories in the can, but the biological effect may show up much later when your next real meal causes a large blood sugar spike. A stronger insulin response will result, and you will have a longer fat storage window. Now, this microbiome fat connection, it's not just theory. In microbiome transplant studies, gut bacteria from people with obesity were transferred into germ-free mice. Now, those mice gain much more body fat than mice that received bacteria from lean donors. So even when the calories were controlled, there was difference in how the body handled them. That shows that gut microbiome can influence how efficiently the body extracts, handles, and stores energy. So the real danger is not that one can of diet soda magically turns into fat. The danger is the metabolic setup that it may create, which is basically disrupted gut bacteria, weaker insulin signaling, larger blood sugar spikes after meals, higher insulin exposure, and a body that is now more likely to turn incoming calories into stored fat. So you drank a 0 calorie soda to avoid weight gain, But in some people, those artificial chemicals may reprogram the gut environment in such a way that it pushes the whole body towards metabolic dysfunction and easier fat storage. And that's all I have for today, and I'll see you in the next podcast video.